This is a Heart and Hand production.
Hello everyone, it's David here with your daily update for Wednesday the 22nd of April 2026. I hope you're all well and having a good day. And there's some massive news to do with Rangers today, and that is the news that skipper James Tavernier will leave at the end of the season. He has announced that this will be his final season at Rangers and he will be heading off in the summer. A statement on Instagram later shared by the club, he said, "To the fans, my teammates and all the staff at the club, after a lot of thought, I've made the decision that this will be my final season at the club. This hasn't been an easy decision. The club has been a huge part of my life and my family's over the past 11 years. It's given me so much, both on and off the pitch, and from the moment I arrived, I've always tried to give everything that I had to represent it in the right way. To have had the honour of being made captain of this club since 2018 is something I will always be incredibly proud of. Leading this team out, wearing the armband and being trusted in that role has meant more to me than I can properly put into words. We've shared the highs and lows together and some truly incredible moments along the way. These include lifting the Scottish Cup, League Cup, our journey to a European final and those unforgettable European nights at Ibrox against Borussia Dortmund and RB Leipzig, where the atmosphere was something I will never forget. It also includes winning the league title and delivering 55, a moment that meant everything to this club and its supporters and one I will carry with me for the rest of my life. To all the players I've shared the pitch and dressing room with over the years, thank you. The bonds we've built, the battles we've been through and the memories we've created are what make this game so special. To the staff who work tirelessly behind the scenes every single day, thank you for everything you've done for me and for the team. Your support often goes unseen, but it has never gone unappreciated. And to the fans, your support home and away, through every high and every difficult moment, has meant more than I can ever fully express. You are the heart and soul of this club, and it has been a privilege to play in front of you. This isn't the end just yet. There is still a season to finish and we are fully focused on pushing for the league title. I will continue to give absolutely everything, as I always have until the very last day. While I feel the time is right for a new challenge, my focus right now is on finishing the season the right way, together. Thank you for everything the club has given me. It has been the greatest honour of my career to represent it and to lead it. The club will always be a part of me and I will always be a part of it. Once a Ranger, always a Ranger. James Tavernier." So, huge news, of course. Tav has been at the club, as he said himself there, for 11 years and must be a huge wrench to him to be leaving. But I think it is the right move, as I discussed yesterday after his comments during his interview about how he sees his future. And I think it is time for him to move on and for Rangers to enter a new chapter, and for him, of course, to enter a new chapter. Some people have asked me, well, why did he say that in the interview? Was the decision made last night or whatever? Not necessarily. I don't think it would be that. I think it would maybe be more that Tav didn't want to announce it in an interview. And then when, of course, it led to more speculation, has probably decided to address this. So timing of these things is always a matter of choice, really. There's no guidebook on when best to do it. It really comes down to the individual. And as I say, Tav's not the type that would announce something like that, a huge announcement in an interview. He would wait and do it on his own terms. So I think it is probably that. In terms of, did the club offer him a new deal? Well, I don't think so. He spoke about that yesterday, that a new contract hadn't been put in front of him. And therefore, he may have decided unilaterally, rather than just wait, that it's time for him to go. And the reality of the situation is that Tav is not the player that he once was, and therefore for Rangers to be paying him the same money was a no-go, really, because it's not squad player money, and that's what he would have been moving forward. Even if he had signed a new deal, he wouldn't have been a first choice. And I think that's fairly obvious. I think Danny Rule has made that fairly obvious this season. Tav's not the type, I think, that will want to settle for the odd game here and there as a backup player. It's just not who he is. One of the things about Tav over the last 11 years is his availability has been absolutely spectacular. And he has always been available. I mean, I can remember one injury period he was out, which was towards the end of the 55 season, where he was out for about a month. That really is about it that I can remember. I'm sure there might be the odd game here and there, but he's a guy who who was always there and always available, and he loved playing. I mean, Steven Gerrard used to talk about it, that there would be games he would like to give him and Connor Goldson a rest, but he couldn't. They wanted to play. And that has been one of the great things about Tav. 144 goals from right back in 562 games is remarkable. And we'll never see stats like that again. I don't think it's absolutely crazy. He's the highest scoring defender in British football. And of course, he topped the charts for goal scorers in the Europa League this season that we got to the final, which is also truly remarkable. In terms of his legacy, I think if we remember Tav the player, I don't think there'll be many people who are anything less than hugely gracious about it. He arrived for £200,000, and we've had our money's worth many, many, many times over. There's zero doubt about that from Tav. Yeah, he could always be capable of a defensive mistake. We know that. He wasn't always the best fullback defensively, but it was more than made up for him what he gave the team. I mean, our playmaker was the right back for a number of years. He was the guy that would provide something, be it a cross or start a move or a goal himself, to get us going. The captaincy, I think, has probably been the thing that's coloured most people's opinion, because if you're a Rangers captain who doesn't win many trophies, and we have to be honest and say he hasn't won many trophies, then you're going to be the focus of criticism. That's simply the reality, in much the same way as the manager is, because we invest that position with so much gravitas and importance that therefore that's the rough with the smooth element of it, that we will always be looking at you and saying, why aren't we winning more stuff? You're the reason, you're the focal point of that. But as a player, I don't think Tav could have done much more, really, than what he's given us. He gave us a tremendous amount on the pitch, and at times the club has been a basket case during his spell here, and at times he's been lining up with players who simply weren't as good as him. There's no doubt about that. The highlight, I would say, of Tav's period here was those 3 years under Steven Gerrard, 3 and a bit years. I think that was when he was absolutely at his best and terrorising teams down that right flank when we went into Europe. Really good sides as well. You know, he was just bombing up and down there. His ability to carry the ball was huge. His ability to run with the ball, and of course we know about his delivery, crosses, set pieces. He's always been really reliable there as well. And when he had a good class of player around him, Rangers were more successful. And I think that, you know, Tav had played in better Rangers sides, he would have won more. There are far worse players who won a lot more than James Tavernier because of the era that he played in, and it isn't fair to hold him totally responsible for that. That he always contributed. That said, I do think he's made the right decision, because time waits for no man, and he's not the player that he was. And you can stay too long at a club and you can end up damaging the legacy that you have. Connor Goldson once said that Tav will never be fully appreciated until he leaves, and I think that that's right, because I think when you're so used to having someone there, Tav's become a bit of the furniture at Ibrox, really, in his time there, that I think that it's very easy to just begin to take them for granted. And when he's gone, we will start to realise his contribution. Even his most vocal critics, I think, would be forced to recognise that. Against that, I had a discussion with a listener yesterday, and my view on when you're handing out a new contract, it can't be based on what a player did in the past. It has to be valued at what you think they're going to do for you in the future, because a contract isn't a reward for the past. This is what we think you'll be worth to us in the future. And that is an unsentimental way to look at it, which, you know, we can be sentimental, I think, about a player when they're in retirement, and we are as a club. We're very, very grateful to our servants of the club once they have gone. But for the next couple of seasons, I think for us to have invested the amount of money that it would have cost to renew Tav's contract at the same amount, or even, as I say, a significant drop, it would still be a big contract to us. And I just don't think he could have provided that. And knowing that, that would have led to, I think, more resentment. And that's the kind of thing that damages a player's reputation. He is due a testimonial. He has been at the club long enough to have been granted a testimonial. I would be very, very surprised if it didn't happen. I think that there would be a desire within the club to give him that, because you don't get in modern football someone staying in the one place for as long as he has. It's so rare. And in this day and age, it's remarkable that someone qualifies for such a thing. And I think that the club would like to honour that and mark it. And in my opinion, they absolutely should, and to give the fans the opportunity to go along and thank Tav for his years of service and give him that special night. He mentioned there something that's very, very true, which is that this season isn't done yet, and he will still have a part to play. He will feature between now and the end of the season, and there will be the opportunity for him to contribute towards that 56 and his second title. And if he was to leave with that, there could be nothing more perfect, nothing better than that to be, if you like, the final image of James Tavernier's Rangers career, is him picking up the league title, because it would be him, obviously, as the club captain. But no, wherever he goes, I wish him all the best. There have been times over his time at Rangers I've been critical of him. Even recently, even against Falkirk, when he gave away that penalty. But there's also been times where there's been nothing but praise for him. And I think that James Tavernier will easily now go into the history of Rangers with a lot more upside than downside. And I think that fans will appreciate him. And I think you can tell by the reaction, actually, that there's a genuine sadness, albeit with an acceptance that this is the right move for everyone. That tells you the esteem that he's held in. In terms of conducting yourself, James Tavernier has never given this club a problem once. He has represented this club the way I want people to represent Rangers Football Club. There were never any stories about him. There were never ever anything off the field. He's a consummate professional and a proper family man. And if you look at the reaction to his post and the amount of ex-players, teammates, coaches praising him in that tells you about the esteem that his fellow pros held him in. And to any footballer, that really does carry a wee bit more weight than even us as supporters. It really does. To know how valued you are and respected you are by your peers, I think, is something in any professional workplace that's very special. And he has that, and he has that in spades. So, yep, we will miss James Tavernier, I think, as a person round the club. I think we have missed James Tavernier at his peak, the player, for a season or two, and I think we've noticed it, to be honest. I think if we'd had, the 21-22 James Tavernier under Danny Rule, my goodness, that would have been something. But, as I say, in football, there's one battle that no footballer can win, and that's with time. And I think that he's made the sensible decision at the right time. He's finishing up on a contract as well. It just seems, as I said yesterday, like a natural end. Where he goes next, I don't know. Whether or not he maybe wants to move a wee bit closer to his original home in Yorkshire. Whether or not he fancies a crack abroad, be it MLS, Saudi. I think the situation over there is a bit strange at the moment. Not simply because of the ongoing conflicts in the Middle East, but because there's some dubiety about the Saudis and the PIF about how they're funding that. If they're going to continue funding that, you may have seen they've pulled out of a number of sporting projects that they had on board. So there's a bit of flux when it comes to that. Maybe MLS, which might be absolutely perfect for him for a couple of years. Go to the US, live in the sun for a bit. But he won't be short of offers. But I'm sure you will join me in wishing James Tavernier all the best in whatever he chooses to do in the future. And there is absolutely zero doubts that he will always be assured of a very warm welcome whenever he returns to Paisley Road West. Speaking of Yorkshire, Rangers have been linked with a move for the Sheffield Wednesday goalkeeper Pierce Charles. The situation at Wednesday, as you may have seen, has my goodness, been absolutely shocking this year. They're going to finish the season on negative points, it looks like. They haven't won at all this season. And the club has been absolutely hollowed out, a shell of a club under its owner. So many financial deductions and problems, and still hasn't been able to get clear of that. And clearly we wish them all. But the goalkeeper is somebody who's clearly known to Danny Rule. And he's someone that Rangers have had an interest in for a while. He's somebody that Rangers, I think, have a strong interest in. It would depend on a number of factors. He will have offers in the transfer window. There's no doubt about that. Bit of a fire sale at Sheffield Wednesday, and players who might want to head out the door. Depending their situation can make transfer negotiations difficult. I mean, you remember last summer with Jaidi Gassama, they were difficult because so many different people at Wednesday seemed to not have or want to be the guy who did the sign-off on it, and that delayed the move from taking place. But he's certainly a player who is an impressive goalkeeper. And in case you're wondering, you said, well, David, his team haven't won all season. How good can he be? Trust me, if you've watched Sheffield Wednesday, you will know that there's not a lot he could have done about most of it. It's a car crash at the moment, which is horrible, actually, if you're someone my age, where Sheffield Wednesday have always been such a huge club. But yeah, it's one to keep an eye on. Rangers credited with a long-term interest in him, and it really wouldn't surprise me if you saw Rangers make a move in that particular direction. Leon Balogun, speaking to the Rangers Review, said that he continues to follow Rangers with his ex-teammates, who are now still his current teammates, over in Cyprus. He said, we are following Rangers all the time, and we probably have become a bit unreasonable, fuming when we drop points. Especially me and Ross McCausland, we follow passionately. We thought last week, now the pressure is on for the game against Falkirk because both the other teams have won. Then I started watching the game thinking, oh my God, how are we 2-0 down? Just don't. He said, but they began to turn it round, and credit to them for that. And I always, I think, a fondness for Bigley on another player who left that I think we retain a fondness for. This is the thing, and it does lead back to Tav today, because that's the most important news for a while, actually. It's been on the update. And I think that we are very critical of players when they're here. We demand the world on a stick. We'll never change. I don't think we should. It's who we are, and there's nothing wrong with it. But I think that we're very good at recognising achievements when a player leaves. I think once a career is in the history books, I think we are very good at valuing it correctly and treating a player with the level of respect that their contribution to the club deserved. And I think we're very honest about that. So while we might be difficult to please, if you do a job for us and you give us your best, then it will be recognised in the future. And I go back to that with James Tavernier, that that's exactly what will happen. So, yeah. So I think if you're feeling slightly melancholic at the news, it's perfectly understandable. I think it's possible to feel that while also recognising that it's the correct decision for everyone. And I think that that's probably where most of us are today. Anyway, folks, that will do me for today here on the Daily Update. I will be back on the update tomorrow. Until then, there's loads of great content to carry you into tomorrow. First of all, earlier today, latest episode of The Gerrard Show dropped. That one's with you, containing a good cup win over Celtic for you to listen to. Later tonight, I'm back with Todd on the David and Todd Show. Tomorrow, James is here with a Continental Critique, and then in the evening, I'll be here with Seagulls with Martin and Jack on what has been a big week down south. Cameo return with Heart and Hand Extra, previewing the weekend's match. Huge match. They all are now, aren't they? I know I can say it, that it's taken as read, that it's a huge match, but I'll still do it. I'll still say it, because it is, and they're the kind of games you want to be playing at this stage of the season. Anyway, thank you very, very much for joining me. I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Until then, folks, have a great day. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
That was a Heart and Hand production.